welcome to my channel, and I'm back with you once again with another video of Microsoft Flight Simulator 24. Nowadays I'm exploring the Boeing 787-10 in the simulator, and in this regard I'm making a series of videos of this plane so that I can just break down all the information related to a flight into different videos, which will make it easy for you to look for a specific information on my channel. Before this, I've uploaded videos in which I've shown you how to configure the MCU of this plane, how to start it from the cold and dark state, and then how to fly it on autopilot, and then how to perform ILS approach and plus RNAV approach. Now in this video, I will show you how to fly an approach when there is a discontinuity. So I'm doing this short flight from Riyadh to Bahrain, and the reason for selecting Bahrain airport is this: it has a discontinuity in the approach because you have to fly this approach based on the vectors given by the ATC. So let's go to the MCU and have a look at the flight plan. If I go to the next page, you will see there's a discontinuity over here. Now I can delete this discontinuity the way we do it, and if you look at the flight plan over here in the navigation display, you will see that this discontinuity is no longer there. But we have to have a discontinuity for this flight. So let's go to departure and arrival, go to index, and let's select the runway again. It's ILS 30 right. So I will deselect it and select it again, and then press execute. Now you will see that there is a discontinuity. Now you will get vectors from the ATC in order to fly this approach, although I'm not using ATC for this video. So that's why I will just do it myself, and I will show you that if you have a discontinuity, no need to delete it, just simply fly the plane and you will land the plane. And this video will show you how to do it. So right now I'm just going to take off from this runway and take this plane to Bahrain, and once I will start the descent, then I will just take you from there. Now the plane is cruising at 25,000 feet, and it's a short flight. Soon the plane will be near the top of descent. So let's do a few things before I start the descent. Let's get the approach plate for Bahrain International Airport, runway 30 right. Just take this option and get the charts for the approach. Now you can see that for this airport, you have to be at 1,500 feet, just 8.5 nautical miles before the runway in order to intercept the glide slope. So the altitude to which I will descend will be 1,500. So let's adjust the altitude. Let's change the units, and now it's 1,500. As soon as the plane is near the top of descent, the descent will automatically start. Now there is another thing that we have to do is go to the MCU and go to init index and approach, and then we have to select the approach speed. Right now the gross weight of the plane is 169.9 tons, and the total fuel right now in the plane is 7.6 tons. Let's go to progress and see how much fuel will be there in the plane. Once the plane will land, it will be 5.5 tons. So we have to subtract 5.5 from 7.6, and then we get this value. 2.1 tons of fuel will be burned. So we have to subtract 2.1 from 169.9, which will be 167.8. So let's go to this option, index and approach, and 167.8, although it's there 167.6, which is good. We'll keep it like this. Okay, so it will be a full flaps landing, 30 degrees of flaps, and the speed is 140 knots. Let's select it and just paste it over here. Now we have the speed for the approach. Now we have to set the minimums for the decision height, because this is an altitude at which you decide whether you want to go with the landing or not, as it's an ILS approach, and you will be using instruments. So that's why you have to make sure that you align with the runway and the plane is following the glide slope. So at a certain altitude you will hear this call out minimums, and if you have a good RVR, which is runway visual range, and plus the plane is aligned with the runway, then you proceed with the landing. Otherwise you go for a go around. So for minimums, you have 3 options for category 2, category 1, and localize DME. So category 2 is the most precise, then you have category 1, and then localize the DME. For category 2, this altitude is appearing in RA, which is radio. In this type of measurement, the plane sends radio signals to the ground and gets the distance from the ground. It is not recommended to use radio because if the ground is uneven, then you will not get good readings. So that's why I will use baro, which is a method to measure the distance from the ground using the barometric pressure. So I will use this category 1 minimums, which is 260. So I can change units right now. You can see that it's radio. Then I can select baro. So let's move the smaller knob to get this altitude, which is 260. It's a bit sensitive. If you move it slowly, the numbers move slowly. If you move it fast, the numbers change very fast. So you have to be careful. So 260. This is the minimums for this approach. That's it. So I will just keep this approach plate over here so that we can just look at it once I'm going for the landing. Now on your screens you will see this button left and right. So if I press right, then whatever the information I will select from here, it will appear on the right side of the navigation display. So I want to just bring up the checklist. So if I, let's say, go with the left, then if I press checklist, it will just appear over here on the left side. So let's bring the checklist. Now for the descent, you have to actually press this button recall in order to see that is there any issue or any alert. So that's why you press this button recall, and you can see nothing is appearing, no message, no error. So this is good. This is basically the ICAS engine indicating a crew alerting system. So recall is good. Auto brakes, let's set them to max, because once you will land, the brakes will come into action. So that's why you have to set these brakes to max. Actually, I'm using the Thrustmaster quadrant, and over there, if I just set the brakes to max, it doesn't actually let me change the brakes like this using the mouse. I can disarm it, but I cannot, set the brakes to max. So that's why I have to use this quadrant for it. And if I right click on the screen, this will move. So you can just ignore it in this video. I think it's a bug which will be fixed in the future, or maybe I can just disconnect this quadrant, but I will just leave it like this. So auto brakes are set to max. So once I will activate the reverse thrust, then afterwards the brakes will come into action and the plane will stop. Landing data, we have entered all the information, the approach speed, and plus the minimums. Approach briefing is done, and I can just press normal. Now I will just keep this checklist over here so that I don't miss anything. Now I will just wait for this top of descent, and as soon as the plane will cross it and the descent will start, then I will just take you from there. Now the plane is near the top of descent, and the descent has automatically started, as you can see. Just throughout the descent, we have to make sure that this vertical deviation indicator remains in the middle. If it's above this line, if it's here, then it means you are below the descent profile. And if this triangle is below, then it means you're above the descent profile. If you're below the descent profile, then it's not an issue, because at some point the plane will actually start to follow the descent profile. But if you are higher than the descent profile, then it's an issue. You have to increase the descent rate, which will make it difficult to control the speed during the descent. So that's why you have to just keep an eye over here. And if there is a deviation, then you can just activate the speed brakes anytime. So let's make sure that the plane keeps on following this vertical path without any issue. Now the plane is below 10,000 feet. I can turn on the lights for the landing. Let's turn on the lights. And with this, you can see the speed is 240 knots, and I can start extending the flaps also. At this speed, I can have flaps at 5 degrees. So let's extend the flaps, because then it will enable us to control the speed. Checklist incomplete. Let's check this out, because I have set the altimeter by pressing comma. Now you will get the new readings. Let's make sure it's also over here. That's it. I can change the units, 1018 and 1018. Now let's arm the speed brakes. So let's move it over here. That's it. The speed brakes are armed for the landing. Now we have to just lower the gears and adjust the flaps for the landing. Some more distance to cover, and soon the plane will be at this point, Nagat, from where I will be turning right using the heading mode instead of the LENOVO mode. Now soon the plane will be near this point, Nagat, and after this point we have to turn right. Let's change the view of the navigation display. Just bring your cursor over here, right click, and you will see this hand sign, and then press it. Then you will have this compass. It will be easy to set the heading bug. So let's adjust the heading first of all to the current heading of the plane. And once I will cross this point, then I will just turn right 90 degrees. You can also change the zoom. Now this is the line for the approach. So you have to intercept this line in order to form an ILS approach and landing. If you go to this option over here in the MCDU, the NAVRAD, you will also see that the ILS frequency is there, 110.3, and the heading is 300. So it's repeating over here. You can also see this information over here on the heads-up display. So let's wait for this point, Nagat, and then I will turn right. So right now the plane is in the LENOVO mode, lateral navigation, which is GPS navigation. Then I will just change it to heading by pressing this button over here. I think that's not a good view. So I'll just keep it like this. So now the plane has actually stopped following this flight path, and now you can see the plane is not even descending. So we have to start the descent ourselves as well. So there are two things that we have to do: turn right and start the descent. The target altitude is already 1,500. So now let's move this heading bug to over here. A 90-degree turn, and press this button, and now the plane will be in the heading select mode. As you can see, it's appearing over here on the flight mode annunciator, and now the plane is turning right. This ILS indicator is moving up because you're moving away from the runway, but we have to start the descent because you don't want this diamond to be below, because if it's below, then you are higher than this glide slope once you're at this point, which is 4.5 nautical miles before the runway. So that's why you have to take care of it. So in order to start the descent, you have this button, flight level change. If you press this button, the descent will start, and now you can also adjust the speed manually. So now the plane is no longer in the LNAV and the VNAV mode, the navigation is carried out using the heading mode. As you can see, heading select, and the descent is controlled by this option, flight level change. So as I've mentioned it before, that you will be getting vectors from the ATC. So right now I can even turn without even getting vectors from the ATC in order to intercept this line. Although I will be intercepting it at this point, but I can further turn right. So what if I just move right like this? That's it. Now with this, I will press this button, localizer. Now, what is the function of the localizer? It actually starts to follow the localizer once it intercepts this line. So localizer is actually a device which is placed just before the runway, and it's used for the ILS. It emits radio frequencies. The planes actually follow those radio frequencies emitted by the localizer. So the plane is now in the localizer mode. As you can see, as soon as the plane was near this line, it has started to follow the localizer. So that's how you fly an approach which has a discontinuity. Now the descent to 1500. And you can see this diamond is up. Now the plane is aligned with the runway established on the approach. With this, you can also activate this button, approach. Now approach performs two functions. It not only performs this function, the localizer function, carries out the lateral alignment with the runway, but also ensures that the plane follows this glide slope. Now I can further reduce the speed. I can keep it at 150 knots and I can start extending the flaps. Right now I cannot fully extend the flaps because the gears are not down. Then you will hear an error if you extend the flaps to 30 degrees. So that's why we have to first of all lower the gears and then extend full flaps. Now on the heads-up display, there is a very good indicator. You can see these two circles, the smaller one and the bigger one. The small one is the flight guidance cue, and the bigger one is the flight path vector. So this small circle shows you where you have to be, and the larger circle tells you where you are right now. So you always have to keep it in the middle, the smaller one, which is the flight guidance cue. So once I will deactivate the autopilot, then I will just follow this small circle, try to keep it in the bigger one, and then everything will be good. Now you can see DME 7.1, which is DME is actually distance by unit equipment. So it tells you the distance to the localizer, which is 6.8 nautical miles. I can again change this view, bring the cursor over here, right click, and once I see the red the hand sign, then I can just press it and change the view. That's it. So the lights are on, the seatbelt signs are on, everything is good. Minimums are there. Now 6 nautical miles, less than 6 nautical miles, I can lower the gears. And once the gears are fully deployed, then I can go for the full flaps. You can see the plane is actually following this path. So everything is good now. All I have to do is land the plane. Now I can set the flaps to 30 degrees. That's it. And let's set the speed to approach speed. As you can see, this is the reference speed for the approach. So let's reduce it. Now at this point, I can deactivate the autopilot and try to land the plane myself. Let's press this button once more time, and let's get rid of this checklist and try to land it. Now, as I told you before, I will be just following this flight guidance cue. That's it. I'm just moving up and down. So I hope it's a good landing. So far, everything looks good. Now let's pitch the nose up a bit, bring the thrust lever to idle, and let's activate the reverse thrust. And that's it. That's how you fly an approach which has a discontinuity and land the plane. Hopefully this was a useful video, and now you will be able to land this plane if you have a discontinuity in the flight plan. I was just actually trying to deactivate the auto brakes, the same problem that I have with the controllers. So if you have any questions, you can ask me in the comment section, or if you want to add anything to this video, the comment section is there for you. Thank you very much for watching and have a nice day. Hope to see you soon.